Hey, what up, everybody? Steviebreech coming to you. I don't know where this rumor has gotten started, but if you look at Twitter, it's everywhere with people guessing that Christian's going to the Slammiversary pay-per-view. I think it was pretty dumb of Dixie Carter to tip everybody off on Twitter. It was the one thing everybody was really wondering about the pay-per-view was who this first person to be inducted to the TNA Hall of Fame is. And I think it's a little bit of a letdown and to kill the buzz of your pay-per-view. I know there was a lot of talk about people buying the pay-per-view just to find out who this mystery person was going into the Hall of Fame. And that's all gone now that she tipped us off that Christian Cage was going to be there for the she didn't say who was going to be the induction. So I guess maybe it's not 100% locked in that that's what they're going to do. But there's people out there actually thinking that Christian Cage is going there to have a match. I don't know why people are thinking that his WWE contract is null and void. I think it is an awesome, cool idea that they would the WWE would give up Christian for the weekend, let him go do a Slammiversary, which is being held in Texas, be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame if that's what he is doing, or at least make some sort of appearance or be there to be with the person that is getting inducted, whether if they wanted him to be there for Kurt or AJ. In my mind, it's already locked in that Christian's going in there. I'm pretty sure, but there's people out there actually thinking that Christian Cage is actually going there to have a match. There's no way in the world WWE is going to let any wrestler that's on their roster go there. I think it'd be tough enough for them just to give up somebody to be on a DVD, which I think that was pretty cool in this Ric Flair trade that they did. But when it looks the way it does right now, you know, I guess he was under contract at the time, but I mean, like, Ric Flair really didn't do anything for TNA after the Hall of Fame, anyways. They never were able to capitalize on it. I don't think if he did any appearances after that, and now there's that lawsuit going on, which is probably going to hold up uh, Ric Flair being released from TNA and signing with WWE anytime recently. I think it's a matter of time before he shows up. Hopefully, they can keep it a secret. I know last week it was a big buzz that he was spotted in the arena or in the area of the arena where Raw was. But I'm not that big of a fan of getting Ric Flair out there. I think a lot of people out here on YouTube make videos saying that we need a youth movement. We need to see new, fresh faces. I think it would be cool to see Ric Flair out there. But I think if you're wanting Ric Flair to be on Raw, I mean, he's honestly going to be keeping anybody that you want to see a fresh face off the TV anytime. The story was out there that he was going to manage Christian, or I apologize, manage Dolph Ziggler. I was thinking about him because I was thinking of the match on SmackDown the other night. That was pretty good. But I don't know if I really want to see that pairing up Flair and Ziggler. Ziggler's great as it is on his own. I don't know what Flair would really add to him. I think if you just took the reins off of Dolph Ziggler and let him run, I think he'd be a whole lot better. But everybody keeps talking about that. Christian's going there to wrestle, like I was saying. I think it doesn't make any sense for Vince to let one of their guys go wrestle in some match that doesn't mean anything to his own company, let alone his Intercontinental Champion go up against some other guy. What if Christian was to get hurt? Is the easiest thing to think of, or what if Christian did something to get himself embarrassed, some kind of botch or anything that's out there and be embarrassed in a TNA ring while you're under contract with WWE. The whole thing, I think there's no way of happening. Um, you know, Crimson has his open challenges that he's out there, and he is undefeated, and he's putting a streak on the line. I think there's a couple names out there that I could think of that could be that person. At first, I thought it was gonna be Garrett Bischoff. That they were just gonna have the guy they're trying to really get over come out there, but he's involved in the Devon storyline, and he's gonna be out there for the TV title match in Devon's corner. There's shoot, what the heck's his name? Matt Morgan, who I don't see being booked on the pay per view anywhere. I don't know uh, what he's doing, but I mean he's already had 1,000 matches with Crimson. I don't really know what they're gonna do. They were involved in the tag team, but they were champions. They feuded and this, that, and the other. But I think that's already all done with. The only thing I can think of is James Storm. I think it'd be a hell of a way to bring James Storm back and get him back in the groove. So that's my pick for who this is actually going to be. Um, Coming in, the whole storyline or the whole story that people are making up about, a WB guy going in and wrestling TNA is a good, fun dream thing to think about. I don't really think that it is a real dream match, Crimson versus Christian, whether it be good or not. But the whole thing makes me think about, WCW, WB, and ECW coming together for one match. I think it's the only time in the history of anything I can ever think of is that you had all three promotions when they were really three different promotions, three different companies come together. Even if ECW was, under Vince's hand and Vince was, paying Paulie to stay in business to be his sort of, I guess you can say, developmental. But they had the huge story where out of the middle of nowhere, ECW's champion Mike Awesome, while under contract to ECW, um, signed with WCW. He actually already appeared on TV. They called him the ECW champion at the time. It was a big surprise. But the only problem was that he hadn't told anybody at ECW that he was leaving. So the only thing that they were able to derive, ECW threatened to sue WCW, even though they didn't have any money. I don't know how they were going to. One way or another, they were going to. Eric Bischoff folded and pretty much said, you can have your guy back because he is under contract to you, even though he is under contract to us. Do one more job. The biggest thing that they could do was under contract from WWE. Taz came back to ECW for one night. He beat him. I believe the match was somewhere in Indiana. So in an ECW ring, you had a WB guy fight a WCW guy, which was crazy. He was Mike Awesome was already segregated. Everybody in ECW was pissed off at him that he would be the champion, the number one guy of the company, not giving anybody any word. But the whole thing that I've never understood about this whole story is that Taz, when he was champion, he signed with WWE. And I guess maybe it was because Paulie didn't have the money to pay him, and he already knew that he was on the outs. They already set up the way that they were gonna do it with the three way between Tanaka, Mike Awesome and Taz, where Taz dropped the title after he'd already signed his deal before he debuted at the Royal Rumble. But maybe that was because it was all set up in advance. But it was pretty cool. You had when they called the match, um, you had Mike Awesome, who actually came out after he was announced through the stands, came in, did the job in a record amount of time, however many it was, and then he just hopped the arena, hopped into the stands, and just left through the crowd. It was pretty cool the way they did that, and then they showed up at the ECW pay-per-view. They did Taz versus Dreamer. Dreamer won the title for the first time. Minutes later, he dropped it um, to good old Just Incredible. So I don't know. That's the whole thing makes me think of. But no way in the world I see Christian going in and actually having a match at the pay-per-view. That's ridiculous.